Hi, and welcome to another Terribly Fun Films. I'm your host through all the crazy awfulness, Bobby, and today is a special request. With the release of Independence Day Resurgence literally just around the corner, it opens this Friday, I was requested to review the first Independence Day movie, directed and co-written by Roland Emmerich with Dean Devlin. I know it doesn't totally fit in with the "it's so bad it's good" portion, and I know it doesn't fit in with the B-movie theme, but it does. It clearly owes a lot to the 1950s sci-fi B-movies that were always attached to drive-in theaters and that sort of thing. With that in mind, the plot of Independence Day goes as such. On July 2nd, tons of alien spacecraft have loomed over massive, important cities throughout the entire world. Not just America, but Moscow, Tokyo, Germany, everywhere in the world. No one knows if they're friendly or not, and only one person has discovered the secret countdown. That person is David Levison, who's trying to get to his estranged wife, Constance, and help save all of mankind. The reason he needs to get to his wife is because she works directly for the president, President Thomas Whitmore, and he can convince them that the aliens don't come in peace. Well, as you probably already know, the aliens don't come in peace, and they explode the ever-living shit out of all of the world. And it takes time for our heroes to discover a way to bring them down, since their alien technology is far more advanced than ours. It is up to Captain Stephen Hiller and the aforementioned David to fly a captured alien vessel onto the mothership to bring down the aliens. There are some subplots, but that's the most straightforward version of the plot that I can fit in with this. And I think it works. The biggest surprise about the movie is that it's 2.5 hours long, or just under, because it does not feel or seem like it's that long. It shockingly moves, even to this day, very quickly. Nice setup of characters. Mind you, none of them are that complicated. There's not a ton of depth to them. I wouldn't say any of them are one-dimensional. Well, most of them are at least two-dimensional, but it's still missing a dimension, if you get what I'm saying. However, the movie at least tries to give them some personality and make them sort of instantly recognizable in terms of how they fall. And all the actors suit their part, but I'll get to that when I discuss the acting. But at being that long, it could feel dragged out. It could feel boring or tedious. And I have some friends who do think that this movie is like that, and that's fine. I just disagree. I think the movie sets up the situation, and then we follow a natural and somewhat logical, for this kind of big budget action Hollywood studio filmmaking, train of thought amongst how the characters react and go about their business before they know the aliens are back. The other important takeaway from the movie, watching it in modern cinema, is it looks really damn good, even now. Some of the special effects are dated, to be certain. A lot of those are some bad green screen kind of effects. But the CGI, when it's used, because it's used sparingly, still holds up for the most part. The practical effects that is used on the aliens, on the ships, the miniature work, and all that jazz looks amazing. The set design for this movie and the art and production design of the alien crafts and the Mothership, jaw-dropping, massive filmmaking on this crazy scale, and there's just something satisfying seeing about a psychotic level of detail being put into a movie that's this silly and this ridiculous, completely on purpose, of course. I don't want to try to sell the movie short. The movie knows what it is. The movie knows it's a giant alien invasion film, but it's a giant alien invasion film on a scale that we haven't seen before, even to this day. When it came out in 1996, it was the second highest grossing movie that year. And for the longest time, in terms of total box office receipts, it was only trailing Jurassic Park from a few years before. And we should remember that, because this movie was everywhere. But it did not spawn a ton of alien invasion films. A few, to be certain. But nothing could match the same crazy scale, same absolute epicness that this movie attains. Instead, it spawned a ton of disaster movies. Why did it get so big? Because it works. Because the writing is funny for the most part. There are one or two lines that fall flat, and there are definitely big exposition dumps in the middle of the film that I can see why some of my friends get bored by it. But when you're coming for the carnage and the action in a movie like this, it's important to remember that when this movie came out, you hadn't seen something like that before. And in fact, it hasn't been replicated as well since. Battle of Los Angeles tried and failed because that movie sucks, mostly due to the editing. This film doesn't quick edit all that often, and it allows us a genuine sense of awe at the aliens when they first come, and the mystery of why they're here. Okay, it was ruined by the film's marketing, but you want to know what you're getting into before you see the movie. And the destruction holds up. The destruction is well filmed, and they do it in an entertaining way. In terms of making a fun action film filled with all the explosions, Roland Emmerich hit the mark here. The directing is fast, and the editing really helps build momentum. The sequence in Area 51 where they're sort of doing an autopsy on one of the aliens, and the alien is still alive and starts choking people and doing psychic imprinting, is fantastic in terms of the editing for the film. It has a nice pacing. It's shot kind of like a horror movie at times. It's great. Of course, Independence Day was the movie that launched Will Smith from just household name to superstar, and there's a reason for that. Because if you change out any single major actor in this movie, it would fall apart entirely. It would not be possible for it to work. Thankfully, we have very charismatic, talented actors, like Will Smith playing Captain Stephen Hiller, a Marine who is the pilot that gets to take the spaceship, the alien spaceship, into the alien mothership to bring them all down. And he brings all the charisma and fun that you expect when you hear Will Smith's in your movie. Then you have Jeff Goldblum as David Levison, the smartest man in any room he's in, even if he has no ambition whatsoever. If you're curious, yes, that's the entirety of his characterization right there. And it's Jeff Goldblum. It's just a Jeff Goldblum role. I am uncertain if at the time another actor could have done it, or if it's just because Independence Day has been so ingrained in pop culture now that we just view that role as Jeff Goldblum. But it really is a very Jeff Goldblum role. And he owns it. his very dry way of saying, "I always wanted to save the world, and now's my shot." It's an amusing line, but he adds a lot of weight and sadness to it, realizing that he might not come back from this crazy mission. Judd Hirsch plays David's dad, Julius, and Judd Hirsch is awesome. By this point, it kind of seems like Judd Hirsch is just ancient, because he played a similar role in Sharknado 2, and that was, like 17 years after Independence Day came out. He's been acting much longer than I've been alive, but he's so fun. He's just simple, and you see him and you just instantly like him. And that's the thing with this cast. You need people like that in order to help you relate to them, since it's not fleshed out all that well. And they really fit that. Margaret Cullen plays David's estranged wife, Constance, and she brings a lot of empathy because she works directly for the president, and it cost her marriage to David. And their scenes together play that out well. They have good chemistry together. They bounce things off each other nicely. And it's sweet later in the film what happens with them. I won't get into that to avoid spoilers. Of course, we have Randy Quaid, and I'll be remiss if I don't talk about the crazy elephant in the room. Yes, Randy Quaid recently is more known for being a psychopath and believing that people are trying to kill him and his wife than being an actor. And even then, he was never known for being a particularly great actor. I'm not defending his current mental state. I feel bad for him, though. And I'm not defending him as being a better actor than people give him credit for. However, as a drunken pilot who was abducted by aliens years ago, he works well within this movie. He makes you feel like somebody who might have actually been abducted by aliens. He plays the crazy aspect of that so well that it's a little sad to see that he's become closer to that character in real life. However, the scene stealer of the film, best actor in the movie, Bill Pullman, is President Thomas Whitmore. Period. Yes, everyone else does a good job, everyone else is fun, everyone else does what the job is required of them, but Bill Pullman not only brings elegant charm to his presidential role, which is 100% what that role required, he also, as you watch the movie, gets fiercer. Early in the film, on Charlie Rose, that we see just a quick snippet of, he's being accused of being a coward. And you sort of see him get more aggressive and more pointed as the movie comes along, and you buy it. Bill Pullman can be bought as an action hero. He can be bought as a caring father. He can be bought as the President of the United States. Not every actor could pull that sort of thing off. And then he gives his epic speech that everyone knows. It's just, you can't escape it. And he delivers with such fiery passion and such intensity that even though it's corny and cheesy and 500 ways of ridiculous, while in context of the movie and watching and getting swept into the action that's about to happen, you're okay with it. In fact, it makes you want to just go, yeah! And thump your fist and be happy for the human race and its survival. And that's really the best thing you can say about this movie, is when watching it, not only does the action hold up, not only do most of the special effects hold up, and not only do the actors work in their somewhat underdeveloped roles, But as a silly, big, dumb action film, it works because it gets you invested enough to want to go, oh, hell yeah, let's go kick alien butt. And it gets you invested enough to want to see the human race survive. And it gets me invested enough to buy the comics to review them, which is coming up in my next review. So yeah, if you couldn't tell, I love Independence Day. I think it's a lot of fun. And yes, I realize it's goofy, it's kind of dumb, but that's why it's fun. And it's meant to be. There's nothing serious going on in that movie. And that's why I cannot wait for the sequel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.